Hey y'all, I'm back. As I like to say all the time, I'm here for a short time, not a long time. I'm in the middle of watching. Ooh, this is not okay. I'm in the middle of watching the Surviving R.Kelly part 3 situation. No, season 3, episode 3. Okay, so I ain't done just yet. Now, I didn't really watch the second part of the Surviving R. Kelly because at that time I was very much so caught up with everything that was going on, but I understand that second part was to kind of tell people what happened after. This third part I was a little bit more interested in because I didn't really follow the case itself. I just kind of knew what happened at the end because my whole thing was I didn't need to sit through the trial to believe everything, to hear the evidence. I knew that this man was guilty. So my whole thing is I was just waiting to hear the guilty or not guilty verdict. But what prompted me to come on here, outside of all of the other victims, because there was a lot of victims, but I just want to say, I'm sorry y'all, I have like this do-rag on. I just want to say, as far as AALIYAH is concerned, AALIYAH was failed. AALIYAH was failed by oh my gosh, so many people let her down. And the reason I'm specifically pointing out AALIYAH, it's not that the other people weren't victims too. It's not that. It's just that I think even Tiffany, I think her last name is Hawkins, Tiffany, who was the first victim, said this. You know, it's one thing for me to come out and say something. You know, look, I'm just a little girl. I'm from the hood in Chicago. Ain't nobody gonna listen to what I'm gonna say. But maybe they'll listen to AALIYAH, like she comes from, like, you know, this musical family. She's pretty affluent. She's like on a rise. People know who she is. And it's like the fact that everything happened to AALIYAH and she was not protected by her own family just gives credence that the rest of these girls had no shot in hell. They literally had no shot in hell of having the justice system hold this man accountable if AALIYAH couldn't even get what she needed. Now, to a degree, we don't know because that was never brought to the police. However, the fact that nobody felt the need to out him for doing that to her made it very clear that the rest of y'all was just gonna fall on deaf ears. Let's really talk about it. Grown up, for me, right? I always heard that R. Kelly married AALIYAH. I did not know until the first Surviving R. Kelly series came out that there was actually like physical evidence. There was a marriage certificate that was there. There was, now nobody knew, I think, necessarily about the annulment, like the annulment and stuff, but I always thought it was just lore. You know, the fact that he messed around with AALIYAH, the fact that they got married, the fact that she got pregnant, I all thought that that was lore. I did not know that there was an actual marriage physical certificate that motherfuckers could find online. I'm lost, but you want to know what? I'm not too lost because the 90s was a different time. But I would think that once people saw, like, no, he really married this little girl, that people would be like, what in the hell? But also, I also have to remember that in the 90s, AALIYAH, Brandy, Monica, Usher, all of the young kids and stuff like that, they were all, I think, and they talked about this in the first documentary too, it was never very clear how old any of these people were. Like, because of the stuff that they were singing about. You know, they were singing about, like, sex and, like, grown up, more grown stuff. So you just always assume them to be maybe 17, 18 at the most. For most of these people, I'm still stuck on the fact that Monica's first album, she sung that shit when she was 12. I'm not gonna hold y'all. When she said that shit during her verses, I got automatically disgusted. Disgusted. Because, no cap, Monica had no business singing about half of that shit that she sung when she was 12. Granted, the album came out when she was like 14 or 15, but regardless of the situation, the stuff that y'all had these children, because that's what they were. At 12, you are a fucking child. They had these children singing about things that they had no business singing about at that age. Absolutely ridiculous. Back to AALIYAH. She was failed across the board in so many ways. First of all, I did not even know that Barry Hankerson took his raggedy ass onto raggedy ass Dr. Oz. It's probably why I didn't pay attention because I don't watch no Dr. Oz. But took his raggedy ass onto Dr. Oz after the last surviving R.Kelly came out and pretty much was like, oh, yes, I did know about that whole situation with R.Kelly and my niece, and when I found out, I completely cut ties from him, and I didn't want him around Aaliyah anymore, and like, I can't really say what happened between, you know, my sister and them, but I do know that something happened, but I can't really say what it is, and hopefully one day she'll come out. Barry Hankerson, you're full of shit. I don't believe none of that. Everybody sat on there. Everybody said that Barry was absolutely around after all of that stuff happened. One of the victims said that R.Kelly was actually about to drop Barry as his manager. And Barry said, if you do that shit, I'm going to put the shit out on Fresh Street. And guess what he did? 2 to 3 days, couple weeks later, however many days later, that information about them being married came out. Barry Hankerson, you're trifling. First of all, I know you're trifling for how you ran Blackground. Point blank period. Like, take Aaliyah and R. Kelly. I know you're a shady of just how you handle Tank and JoJo. I just watched the R&B podcast too with Tank and JoJo. Y'all should watch that. It was really, really good. I know you were trash for how you handled your artists. Period. And then I'm so glad. I thank God they brought this up. If y'all remember, maybe like a year or so ago, there was this big thing and it was like AALIYAHiscoming.com, and it was this whole big thing because Barry was finally going to drop Aaliyah's first 3 damn albums on streaming services. I thought it was weird timing too. And even at that time, I felt like y'all are doing this to try to get the heat off of y'all back about this R. Kelly thing. And then come to find out, because obviously I wasn't paying attention to that enough. The same week that the trial was about to start was the same week that they did that. You are trifling, Barry. You're trifling because you're trying to... It's a couple of things that the Hankerson family allegedly, that Barry Hankerson allegedly, and the Houghton family allegedly, specifically Miss Diane, allegedly did. To me, y'all allegedly, was trying to pretty much fix up Aaliyah's image, and number 2, y'all was trying to monetize off of the whole situation. Specifically, this last little go around, that was y'all monetizing and trying to cover. Y'all was trying to do both. This is one thing that I can understand. This is the thing. I've always respected Miss Diane because I've always felt like, you know, she goes really hard in the paint when it comes to her daughter and her daughter's legacy and imagery, and you're not about to just do whatever you want to do with my daughter's shit. I get that. But at the same time, the thing about this whole situation is Aaliyah would not, well, I don't want to say she wouldn't look bad because society is terrible, but for the most part, if Miss Houghton was to just be honest about what happened to her daughter, yes, you would still get flack because allegedly it was said that once they found out about the marriage, okay, well, let's go through the marriage before I even get to Miss Diane. They said, similar to they did in the first one, that yes, Mr. Demetrius Smith, who was a bodyguard, who needs to be in jail too, took Aaliyah to the little magistrate office to get a fake ID, did that, went to a hotel room. The pastor was on the stand and testified that yes, he did indeed do the marriage between, officiated the wedding between Aaliyah and R. Kelly. How it was just Aaliyah, she was like 15 at the time. Robert, some of his associates, the wedding was maybe like 10 minutes after that. They did it, and he hopped on a plane and he left. I am disgusted. Once it was found out by Aaliyah's father, which I heard he's no longer here, may he rest in peace, he was pissed the fuck off. And from allegedly what was said, allegedly, what happened is that they said y'all need to get an annulment immediately. But not only that, we need a payment. Now, some people don't know if that payment is $100 or if it's $3 million. But there was a payment that R. Kelly made. Also, the Houghtons wanted the rights to his first 3 albums, okay? And then after that, the last thing was like, you know, you can't be around Aaliyah anymore. I think if that is true, and they also have to sign the NDA. I want to say this. I think that if that is true, that's complete trash on Miss Diane's part. Specifically because Miss Diane has always held true to the fact that none of that shit's true. And I'm so glad that they talked about it with Javante. When Javante had first came out, how she was like, oh, you don't even know my daughter. Which we come to find out for facts, that's a lie, okay? Miss Diane, for the most part, to me, at this point, it has nothing to do with Aaliyah. It has everything to do with her. Because this is not a situation where Aaliyah will come off looking bad. Aaliyah has always, 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 always been viewed as the victim because she is. She was 14 when she met this man. Or in reality, y'all just don't want to get the smoke. Like when the first season of Surviving R.Kelly came out, everybody was giving smoke to the parents. Y'all don't want to get the smoke. But my whole thing is, Miss Diane, this is not about you. Just like Javante said, this is not about you. This is about your child, your daughter who's no longer living here. And yes, you might have made some mistakes. And yes, that probably wasn't the best thing to do. But to sit around and deny that experience is absolutely disgusting as far as I'm concerned. If you don't want to tell on yourself, you ain't got to tell on yourself. But to deny because what you're pretty much trying to deny is the fact that something happened to your daughter. And that's the shit that I don't like. That's disgusting to me. It's absolutely disgusting. And the fact that y'all would say, let us get the rights to your first three. Like, that is how much her life is worth to you. Period. That's how much your child's innocence, her life, her sadness, everything that girl had to go through. Could you imagine being 14 years old, you meet your idol, he's starting to help you, then shit start getting weird, and the next thing you know, you're pregnant? And you're in a hotel room getting married to this man? At the age of 15? That's a grown-ass man. This is a grown-ass man. This man was like 27. And that's how much your child's pain was worth? Ain't enough money, NDAs in the world that would have kept my daddy off of R. Kelly's ass. Baby, I don't even know if that man would be alive and walking today. It's not enough money. It's not enough NDAs in the world. And I get that at the time, Aaliyah was still new and she was still bubbling and all that stuff. And so it was like, oh, we don't want to put her in a light and stuff like that. And we don't want to get her in trouble. There was another way to handle it. But taking a payoff was absolutely disgusting. Disgusting. And then, before we even go any further on that, I also want to bring this up. Too. So then it said, okay, once that happened, one of the biggest things was like, okay, well, you can't be around Aaliyah anymore, and how R.Kelly was so heartbroken. I don't give a fuck. I don't care how heartbroken he was. I don't care, because the biggest thing that I feel like everybody's trying to paint, or other people that know him specifically about Aaliyah, is like, he was really in love with her. Don't know, like, y'all don't get it. He was really in love. I don't care if he was really in love with her or not. It's inappropriate, and he didn't have it. That he had no business. I don't care if he truly, truly was in love with the girl. I don't give a fuck. I don't care. You didn't love her enough. It was inappropriate. Period. I am 28 years old right now, and I couldn't even fathom talking to somebody that was 24, let alone 15 years old. There's nothing that you motherfuckers have in common. I don't care if y'all are both in the recording industry. There's nothing for real, other than singing that you guys have in common. That's it. That is it. But anyway, so the biggest thing is, okay, well, Aaliyah can't be around R. Kelly anymore. So then they take Aaliyah and they move her from, where she was at, Chicago, Detroit, and they move her over to the East Coast, where she gets with Timbaland and Missy and all them, and she do her thing. I want to stop right here for a second. I wish to God that they would have really spoke on this, because if y'all would have really spoke on this, y'all really would have been doing a damn thing, Mrs. Dream Hampton. And I'll wait to part 4, but I highly doubt it because I haven't heard anything. The majority of the relationships that Aaliyah was like kind of put in was inappropriate. I had to do my due diligence again and make sure this is not allegedly, this is what he said, because it's in written form, it's in plenty of articles. Timbaland, he wasn't near, I don't want to say he was as bad as R. Kelly, because that's not true, but it irks me that she was sent from one predator to be sent, not to another predator, but for somebody else to just kind of look at her and prey on her. That girl was 15 years old. Thank God for Missy Elliott. Thank God for Lil' Kim. Thank God for the people, for the women that was probably around her, that probably kept her safe and kept her level-headed and all the other stuff. But Timbaland himself said that when he met Aaliyah, he was like 23, 24, Aaliyah was 16, and he knew it was inappropriate, but he was in love with her. He was in love with Aaliyah at the time, but he was like, no, she's too much younger, so, I just didn't do it, which is how it should be. It's inappropriate anyway, but whatever, have your feelings, but keep your hands to yourselves, right? But then he goes on to emphasize, but it was really, really hard. I mean, it was really, 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 really hard. So by you saying to me, you was in love with this girl when you was 24 and she was 16, and although you didn't do anything, it was really, really hard, that leads me to believe, allegedly, you cannot tell me that he didn't try her. Allegedly, because I'm not trying to get sued. You cannot tell me that allegedly. I believe allegedly that he tried her. I believe that. I don't believe that you will put such an emphasis on, I was in love with her and it was so hard, but you never tried her. You never tried her once, Timberland. I find that hard to believe. Second, what I find disgusting about Timberland is then you go in another article pretty much and say, I don't know if it was the same article, but then you go to say that you literally got with your wife. The minute you saw your wife, you knew you was going to be with her because she looked like Aaliyah. And if you go and look up pictures of his wife, not that she looks like Aaliyah, but she favors her and like the light skin, the way that she looks, her hair swoop, all of that. That is disgusting. You men in the music industry are absolutely disgusting. And it makes me feel for people like Brandy, like Monica, girls like that who was teenagers during that time frame. Y'all are disgusting. Disgusting. And for Timberland to have enough confidence to say that, to be like, yeah, I was actually in love with her, and yeah, I got my wife because she looked just like her. Like, first of all, if I'm Timberland's wife, I'm looking at you like, what? Like, that's weird. It's weird. And all of y'all relationships with her was effing weird. Let's go to Dame Dash for a quick second. I know that very much so, that she was very much so in love with Dame Dash. I think that Dame Dash was probably the first safe relationship she probably fucking felt it. However, let's talk about the Best of Both Worlds tour. Let's talk about that for a second. I really gotta go back and do my due diligence because I think the Best of Both Worlds tour happened after Aaliyah passed. But they want to sit on Drink Champs and be like, oh, I didn't agree with Jay working. I think that's bullshit. Because on some real shit, if you knew everything that you knew about your woman and you knew for a fact that he did all of that shit, there's no way on God's green earth that you would be okay with your best friend, your main guy, your breadwinner working with this nigga. No way. No way, no way, no way, Jose. Now, granted, the Best of Both Worlds tour did not last long because Tata allegedly had to jump across the stage and pepper spray somebody. But I feel like Dame, Timberland, R.Kelly, Demetrius Smith, allegedly Diane Haunted, allegedly Barry Hagerson, allegedly Aaliyah's father, allegedly all of the freaking people around them, y'all was in it for the money. And it didn't matter what happened to this girl. This girl, y'all did not care. Y'all didn't care. She was expendable as far as y'all was concerned. As long as she could keep cranking it out and cranking out the hits, and he could crank it out, and y'all could get the money from her, that's all y'all cared about. And I am disgusted that nobody protected this girl. I'm disgusted that nobody protected her. So all of that to say, also let me talk about Mr. Demetrius Smith for a quick second. What's it up there and be like, if he would have just waited a couple years, I think R.Kelly and Aaliyah, I think they would have been a beautiful couple. They would have had so much fun. They would have went around the world. And he's like, because I get it, but it's like, yes, she was 16 and he was 27, but he wasn't 27 mentally. He was more so, and then he stopped saying stuff and rubbed his head. Yeah, because do you know how crazy you sound saying that? Yes, she was 16 and he was 27, but the relationship was fine because he wasn't mentally 27. Obviously, he was not, but he still was. Disgusting. She had no protection. So all of that to say, if nobody was going to protect Aaliyah, this budding, on the rise R&B star, even once she became a star, nobody did their due diligence to say fuck R. Kelly, even though everybody in the music industry knew. I'm including Jay-Z in that. Yes, I am. Yes, I'm including my fave's husband in that. Sure am. Y'all continuously work with this man, knowing damn well everything that he fucking did. I don't believe in my hearts of hearts that Jay-Z or Dame already said that he knew everything because Aaliyah told him. So you cannot tell me that Jay did not know. And you can't tell me that there wasn't some type of conversation where it's like, that I know that this is what happened, but let's get to the bag. Y'all are disgusting. But Like I said, if that got into Aaliyah, a rising budding star, and then even after she's a star, and then she passes away, and I still work, what chances did these other girls have? They had zero chance. Zero chance. Y'all tell people all the time, oh, if something was wrong, why didn't y'all go to the police? The first girl did go to the police. Guess what? They didn't believe her. So here we are, 30 years later, with all of these people. Ooh, I also want to say to Miss Ebony that was on the 3rd episode, hun, you need therapy. I'm talking about you need intensive therapy. I'm talking about top tier intensive therapy. Miss Ebony is the one who was dealing with R.Kelly around the same time that Aaliyah was. She heard about the rumors at the time, but she kept asking him and he kept saying no. Eventually, when she was in college, she had moved into a place with Robert. Robert ends up leaving out to do whatever. She finds these videotapes. She's bored. She go pop one in. What is the video of? Allegedly of him having sex with Aaliyah. He comes back to the house to, I guess maybe he feels like he knows that she saw the tape, shook the hell out of her, pushed her ass down the steps. She leaves R.Kelly, gets with a frat man, has a kid, breaks up with that frat man, and then gets back with R.Kelly. And then brings her child around R.Kelly, and then says one time when they was out, she saw the way R.Kelly was looking at her daughter and made her uncomfortable. Girl, you need intensive therapy. And then needed a break because she was like, you know, and she's not the only person that did this on this documentary. That's how I know that this shit, it's really palpable and it's really real. She's like the 3rd or 4th girl that said, I don't want people that's like, I don't want it to come off like he's a bad person. Like, he's not a bad guy. He just does bad things. Girl, like somebody, like her friends telling her, girl, he groomed you to be like that. He groomed you to think like that. Do you not think that guilt, well, not her, but people who might be like, what the hell is going on with her? Guilt. That guilt is a real thing. It's a real thing to instill in somebody. So, like, girl, if you do me wrong, you're a terrible person. Like, if somebody says to you again and again and again every day, if you do this, you're a terrible person. If you do this, you're a terrible person. If you do it, you're a terrible person. Eventually, if you do it, you're going to feel like a terrible person, even if that was a lie. Words have power. Oh my gosh, all of that to say, I'm really disappointed. I'm disappointed in all of this, but specifically hearing this more in detail about Aaliyah and how this is the first time, the biggest thing about this whole thing is this is the first time that Aaliyah's mom, her family are actually being, like, it's really being talked about within a court setting. It was always said that people felt like Aaliyah's family kind of took some payoff or something to not say anything. But this is the first time it's really brought up in court that, like, an annulment happened. We know that. We know that they were married. We know that y'all got it annulled. And we know that y'all didn't report him. So what happened in between there? And allegedly it was a payoff. Like, his first 3 albums, are y'all serious? Like, I guess it's disgusting to me because that's, to me, that shows how much y'all felt like she was worth. Y'all felt like Aaliyah and her pain and what she went through was only worth 3 of his albums. And a couple $1 million. When y'all was already well off. Like, that's another thing that I think about that pisses me off. It's not like y'all wasn't doing okay. Barry Hankerson is your damn uncle. Gladys Knight is her damn godmother. Y'all was, and everybody on this documentary has already said, Aaliyah and her family was kind of like the Huxtables. They lived in an affluent neighborhood, very much so middle class, had money, So it's not even like y'all needed the bag. That's how much Aaliyah's life was worth to y'all. 3 raggedy ass albums and not even his best albums. 12 play alright, but y'all didn't even get like the Chocolate Factory because that was way after she gone. But y'all didn't even like get the Chocolate Factory or anything like that. Y'all literally got the first 3 albums when 12 play was the only really good one in that mix. I wonder if to this day y'all still get royalties off of that. If y'all do, allegedly, that's disgusting. That's disgusting. There's not enough money in the world. Y'all get in the comments, tell me what y'all think. I'm about to go watch the 4th part. I'm out. Bye.